Yeah. All right, I think I got it over here. Hope I don't fall asleep. Okay. Well, hi everybody. This is Angelo Quinones. A little bit of a biography. I have two chapters of my life that I have lived. Number one, and that I'm living. Number two. Rarely does a person get a chance to live out two chapters. Sometimes is one chapter, and that's it. And sometimes it's not even the chapter. Sometimes, people come into this world already, passed on. They don't get a chance to live out anything whatsoever. Their mother's womb is the only existence that they have ever known, and they don't even know about it because their memory, what I mean. It can't reach back that far, you know. But God knows why things happen. So I mean, you have your prefix, uh, your chapter one, chapter two, and some people even have chapter threes. I mean, I don't know what those are about. I'm just living in chapter two, thank God, and so I praise God for that in Jesus' name. Um, I saw a Priscilla Presley interview, and she was talking about her relationship with Elvis Presley. Obviously, she was married to Elvis for 5 years. I'm going to get into that in another recording. I want to get into that because as a fan, I have a lot to say. It's not only Priscilla that has a lot to say, but the fans. I think I'm going to be speaking for a vast amount of fans. But forget about that for now. You know, she was talking about how she lost her daughter, how she lost her grandson, how she lost Elvis, how she lost her mother. I mean, those are four people, major people in her life. I don't know if she lost her. I think she got married again, right? If he's still alive or if he's dead. So I don't. At least she lost four people of great stature. Now probably her father passed away, right? Because she's right now, Priscilla is 79. So if she's 79, well then her military father had to have reached probably over 100 if he was alive. So I don't know, probably he's gone. So that's five people. You understand what I'm saying? And so that's five people right there. Major people. Her parents, her former husband, her daughter, her grandson, who looked exactly like Elvis, and he couldn't take it. I think that's one of the reasons why maybe he committed suicide. But I want to talk about myself. Okay, that kind of led me to talk about this. In my journey to the Philippines, want to record sort of the something about the second chapter of my life, and just let you guys know how it went. In 2017, okay, let me go back even farther than that. In 1999, okay, I met a girl named Belsie Ruiz, okay, and she was an immigrant from Guatemala, and we met in a church called Templo de Dios Vivo, Temple of the Living God, all right, in Far Rockaway Beach. And in 1999, I'll never forget the year, 1999, my mother gave me a lot of warnings as a prophecy, in prophecy that year. I have it recorded. And I didn't know what she was talking about, but obviously she saw problems coming in the future that God was telling her about, that I was going to get involved in, and so, or that I was going to be a part of. and she was giving me warning after warning after warning, and with a very stark face. Okay, those are prophecies that came to pass. I have it recorded. It will be up there on YouTube one of these days when I get my computer. And excuse me for yawning, but it's about 2:15 in the morning, right? Um, so as another year passed, okay, in 1999, I can't remember anything about that year except for I used to, visit that church sort of regularly, and actually, I was actually let to go because a man, um, and I forgot his name. Just a charming, charming person, though, man. It's just he played the guitar. He had a wonderful voice, like that. And I forgot his. And I don't have any of my sermons in church, but I think I do have maybe some videos of of the of some church services. I probably have some around some place, just like I have my baptism, And so, I want to lead up to Riza by what happened to me and Belsi. That's what. So I want to go back. I don't want to start with Riza. I want to go back because if it wasn't for the fiasco in 2001, I would have never went to I would have never gone to the Philippines. And if it wasn't for my mother's death in 2012, I definitely wouldn't have came over here. I wouldn't have left my mother for anything at all whatsoever, 100%. So because she died, that opened up a door of opportunity to start a new life, somewhere else, So, but I want to start with Belsie because she was my first. She was my first. I would say she was my first love, Belsie. I loved her tremendously. Okay, she was my first real deal love. I mean, I was going to marry her, and we were that close. We were only about. We broke up on Thursday, and we were going to get married on Saturday. So we were going to get married like 2 days after we broke up. So it wasn't meant to be. And before I came to the Philippines, I mean, she used to stop me a couple of years in a row, and say hello to me, and one of the times it was with her baby because she got married. Because she knew who and what I was. That I wasn't a jealous type at all, like that. That I wasn't going to do any harm to her just because she had a baby and she got married, and so what? Meaning, so what? It doesn't make a difference to me. I mean, our relationship was dead. It was over. That's it. She had to go on with her life, and I had to go on with my life. And at the time, I wasn't seeing anybody, but that's just the deal. And all of this is going to lead up to Riza. No problems with Riza. I'm not going to be discussing any problems with Riza or anything like that. I'm just going to enter into the second chapter of my life, and like that, without getting into any issues. But according to the first chapter of my life, Belsie was a big part of it. She was a big part of my life. In 1999, I was 34 years old when I met Belsie. So I was extremely young compared to what I am now. I sound the same. I basically look the same except for my hair. It's gray. It's just grayish color with black. There was none of that in those days. It was just fully black. And I look the same, but I look younger. Maybe more plumpier, but I look younger. Now I have less weight on me, on my bones. What I'm saying? But so, I mean, I think his name was Gabriel. I don't know, Gabriel. I don't know, something like that. Maybe Gabriel, something like that. I don't know. Uh, I think his name was the one who introduced me to the church. And I think we met in a supermarket or someplace like that. And it was something like like uh, like one of those old leaders. But I'll get into that because that's not really terribly important. His name, but he was there, charming Christian person who brought me to the church. And I mean, it was a very, 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 small church, narrow but long. And we used to always pray that the wall, the right hand side wall, will come down and the church house will be bigger. And that was fulfilled in the future. You know, it was a restaurant on the other side, and then it looks like they closed up. And then people prayed for it, and it came to pass though. It would be nice to go back and visit that church if it's still there, that church house. Let me just touch the picture because sometimes it goes dim, and then the recording stops. So I mean, um, I met this gentleman, and he brought me to church, and the rest was history. And that was the first church I believe that I ever preached in. I believe, right? And but that came later. That came later after they got to know me, that I knew the word, the word of God, and you know what I'm saying. Um, it wasn't the first Spanish church I ever visited though, and was attached to. That was Príncipe de Paz, Prince of Peace Church, right there in the neighborhood, right there, right, just a block away or two, about 2 blocks away. But in Templo de Dios Vivo, in Temple of the Living God, I met. I don't know if it was in 1999 or 2000. Okay, 99 is not a really great number in the Bible. It's a judgment sort of a number. 8, 9, 2, 17, 18, 24, 12. I mean, 23, you name it, 42, 34, double 17, you see. All of those numbers are judgment numbers. Okay, all of them. 32. I mean, all of those numbers, judgment numbers, completely so, 100%. Okay, put Aaron Judge's number 99 there, or if you want also. You understand what I'm saying? Um, and so I mean, we met, but I really didn't think anything of it. I didn't see her like, oh, this is the one for me. I got to be honest with you. When I went to church, I was always, it's kind of, this is what happens to, a young Christian, us guys are always waiting for the girl in church to come outside to us. We want God to bring the girl to us, you know, in a nice wrapped up box with a bow tie and a little card saying "I love you." It's not like that though. And I had to learn that. I was not always, but just expect, just staying there outside of church just a little bit longer, waiting for the right girl to just come out of the church doors and say, "Hi, Angelo, how you doing?" Like, it never happened. Never happened. It just never happened like that. I have to admit that I used to do that. I used to just wait outside, for that girl to pop up, and she never did. And now I know why, because I have 2 kids with Riza, and that's destiny. Meaning the 2 kids. Riza and I broke up, but and me broke up. But the thing is that you know, but at least I have 2 kids out of it, and they had to be born when they had to be born. They couldn't have been born, in Belsie's time, or I would have been with her, and we would have been married. You see, they couldn't have been born in any other time. They had to be born in their own time, meaning what the Bible says, the time of life. You understand? Okay. Let me see this. Wait for a second. Wait. Oops. Okay. You understand what I'm saying? I think I have this picture because in this picture I'm sort of contemplating things and stuff like that. So it's kind of, it's sort of a fitting background to my voice. And I mean, let's go to 2000. So 2000, there was 2 people in church that I liked. There was, and I forgot I forgot the other girl's name, but she had a son, I think Anthony. But I forgot her name. It was just, she was from the same country, and sometimes they had strange names. I mean, so it was. up to me to decide, which one to pick, you know. And I picked Belsie because, you know, I love kids, and Anthony would have been my stepson, but you know, I don't know. And she knew English too. The other woman knew English, and Belsie didn't. Belsie did not know English, and maybe that's it was to our detriment, the communication aspect. That's what I'm going through with Riza now. Even in asking her for things for the baby or whatever the case may be, the translation gets lost in the wind. You know what I mean? When you don't have the same language. And so, I mean, I had a choice, and I remember me buying a perfume for Belsie, and then she was kind of proud out of it and stuff like that, and whatever. Now, I don't have a photogenic mind for everything, so I don't know when we got engaged, but a whole year passed of me visiting her and her family, and me helping her with the laundry, and us going to church together, and us going to the supermarket together, and me taking her to my mother's house. And then she did something very, very bad in my mother's house, and she knew that I couldn't see well, and she threw a penny to my nephew to see if my nephew could see it. That's what my mother said. I mean, my mother, I don't think ever forgave her for that. Belsie was a strange case because her nerves were shot. She was very nervous. She was very, she wasn't all there. She wasn't all there upstairs in her mind. She wasn't all there. She used to say that some gangs used to shoot her cattle, and they used to scare her, and maybe that's why she got like that. But whatever happened, she was a wreck emotionally. You know, she did break up with her boyfriend Freddie, and he was in the church until we got engaged. He was there. He was going there. You know, so I used to see. Oh, Georgina was her name. Georgina. Yeah, Georgina was her name. The other woman's name. That had a choice either to pick Belsie or Georgina, and I picked Belsie, even though Georgina had a wonderful son. Georgina also lived nearby, knew English, was very nice, and very polite, very helpful, and always used to talk to me. But Destiny will see that see to it that Belsie was the one that I was interested in. Since, I mean, she wasn't pretty, she wasn't a pretty girl. She wasn't homely, but she wasn't pretty. She was small. She had curly hair, sort of a roundish face. She wasn't a pretty person. But there was something about her that reminded me of my mom, and that's how it is with us guys. That we tend to gravitate toward people that reminds us of our mothers, and women tend to gravitate toward guys that remind them of their fathers. See, that's a normal thing. That's just a normal thing. And so she had a lot of qualities that reminded me of my mother. She was small, right? She had good eyesight. Okay, fine. Those two boxes check out. Okay, her English wasn't that great at all. My mother at that time knew English though a lot. She learned a lot. She was from another country. My mother was from another country. She used to be very helpful at home. My mother used to be the same. She used to take care of her brothers. My mother was the same with her siblings. I mean, so she had, she a lot of similarities and stuff like that between my mom and her, Belsie, always. You understand what I mean? And then I mean, we visited each other. I visited her more, and the problem is, I used to come back home late at night. My mother used to not like that. My mother was not used to us leaving every single day, except for when I visited this very, very, very young girl, and she was like a daughter to me. I don't know. I was just attached to her, Jasenia Bedoya, and I was in 1986. I came back. Now I'm going back, to the 80s. Now I was in the 90s, and I'm going back to the 80s. and me and my brother was in TSS, a store called TSS. TSS was a shopping mall, and it sold records and clothes and electronics and stuff like the TSS. There's no more TSS, And that used to be like in Long Island. So, but we used to sometimes walk or take our bicycles or the bus to go back home, whatever. It was a long distance to walk. I mean, it was, forget it, it's hours, you know. But by bus, it used to be like a half an hour or something like that, whatever. Anyway, me and my brother came back, and then I saw these two people, a woman and a child, talking to my mother, Luisa, you know. And I never thought of her as nothing, Luisa, never. And that was the problem, that when I used to visit Jasenia, like if I visited my own daughter, I loved her. I never got married at that time. Never was married. I never had children. So Jasenia was just like the life. It's just like a life uh, came into my heart. We we immediately connected. Our souls connected. Me and that 6 year old girl, and I saw her like the daughter that I never had. And I used, after, we came from McDonald's. I think we went to McDonald's also, and we bought, some McDonald's there. And then Luisa was there, speaking to my mother. She was from Colombia, and then Jasenia was only 6 years old, Bedoya, and then she was just incredible. She was small and energetic, and she had that long dark brown hair, and she was jumping all over the place and stuff like that. And I said, who are these people? And I really never thought anything of it, but I used to visit her every single time for years, for like about maybe 3 years or something like that, or 4 years. And it was just to visit her all the time. And probably people thought that I was visiting Luisa. Let me touch my picture. But I wasn't. I wasn't interested in Luisa at all. I was just interested in watching TV with the girl, and buying her Barbie dolls and gem dolls at the time, and watching TV. And she was just such a daughter to me, man. I bought her clothes, and I used to pick her up from school at the time. From school, my mother gave not my mother, but Luisa, her mother gave me permission to pick her up from school. I did that maybe one or twice. I didn't do it a lot of times. So I picked her up from school, and we were just so close. And she used to run to me and hug me and kiss me, and like that, and just like a father daughter relationship, you know. And even better than maybe some father daughter relationships, that they don't even hug each other and kiss each other. And that's what I'm talking about with Riza and her father here. I don't see a hug, I don't see a kiss, I don't see anything. But anyway, that's going back to my time. Let's go stay in the 80s and go back to the 90s. So in 1986, you know, um, in 1986, in 87 and 88, 89 and 90, I used to visit Jasenia all the time. All the time visit Jasenia. Jasenia, I was crazy for that little girl. There's nothing I wouldn't do. Crazy almost. Crazy for that little girl. It's like a daughter that I never had, like I keep on saying before. And it's kind of probably frustrating probably it was frustrating for the mother, because Luisa used to be in her bedroom watching TV all the time. And I would say hello, pop in my head to say hello. I mean, it would be rude if I didn't. So I would go there, and she used to watch TV, her novelas, soap operas, stuff like that, the news, whatever, and I would say hello. And then I would go back to the living room, and she would probably like frustrated, like, God, he's not paying attention to me. He's always paying attention to my daughter. What's the deal? I mean, I knew she was interested, but I wasn't. At that time, I was shy. I didn't even know what 2 plus 2 was. You understand what I'm saying? I was only in my 20s at that time. I was only 21, 22, 23, like that, 24, 25, like that, And so that's just the deal. And I don't know why I went back to the now I forgot. I have to go back to the 90s. But yeah, we had the relationship in me and Jasenia, and even when her sister Luisa's sister, and she died of a stomach virus. You know, she was young when she died. She was only in her 20s, like 25 or something. She had a very bad stomach virus, and she didn't take care of it, and she died. Something that almost happened to Riza, and I told her to go to the hospital. I practically saved her life. That's not there's no hyperbole because somebody died of a stomach virus the same year that Riza had her stomach virus, like about 3 or 4 years ago. You know, so that lady died and Riza didn't because I said, listen, you better stop playing around. You know, you better go. Stomach viruses are very dangerous. You could die a drop of a hat. So anyway, let me go back to the so that nothing even happened there. When she was still living, Luisa's sister was interested in me, but I wasn't interested in her. I wasn't interested in girls too much. I had my hobbies. I had my music. I had, you know, I was a fan of Elvis, and I was a fan of Bruce Lee, and I was a fan of General Hospital, and I still love General Hospital. I still am a fan of Bruce Lee, but I was a knucklehead. I was a nut for those things. I was a fanatic, and but that was the case. I mean, I wasn't interested in a lot of girls at the time. I wasn't. I was first of all, I was very shy, and then I was very good looking, but I was very shy, and I just wasn't interested. I guess I was let down before or something like that. I don't know. Maybe in school, had a couple of crushes in school when I was in the second grade, and then when I was in the 11th grade, Melissa Hoyt was my first girlfriend, but I just didn't know how to act. You know, I was sort of like an angry person without without bursting out and with bursting out sometimes because of my father's death in 1983. So I didn't know how to handle a relationship at that time. I really didn't. I didn't look for it. I didn't. It was before I was starting to wait for the church girl to come outside. In the 90s. Getting back to the 90s. All right. Um, Belzy was interesting because she had a nervous condition, and my mother had a nervous condition also. And bringing up three legally blind children, me, my brother, my sister, my mother was very nervous, and she had to take medication. And Belzy had to take medication, but she wouldn't take it sometimes. And sometimes, her 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 family had to put her in the hospital, and she was on the floor, on the fourth floor of St. John's Hospital, that was for people that were, just put it like that, crazy. Okay, I remember visiting her. Okay, all right, visiting her in a hospital, and she was jumping up and down and clapping, and she was unstable, and she was hitting me below the belt. She was kicking me below the belt. She was slapping me in the face, and I was almost like, if I wasn't crying, I was almost crying. And they had the walls padded so they won't hit their head. And I said, "Oh my God, what did I get myself into? What did I get myself into?" But I couldn't almost break away. I almost couldn't break away. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't break away. And I think I got back to Jasenia because I said that Georgina had Anthony and I would have been a stepfather to Anthony, but I never chose Georgina. I chose Belsi, and I wonder if I would have chose Georgina, what destiny would have been like. And I think I didn't choose Georgina because she couldn't have a child, probably because she was already like 40, maybe. But she didn't look it though. But she was just 40. So I said, something, I really want to have children. So I mean, I'm gonna pick Belsi because Belsi's only like 24 or 27. So I think she's only like 25 or something like that. And so I think that's why I chose Belsi and not Georgina. Now I do want to have more children, and I have my reasons for it. Children that will eventually grow up and be a protector to Anna and Sean, and be there when I'm not going to be there, because I'm up there in age. and I'm not going to be lasting forever in Sean's life and in Anna's life. Unfortunately, that's just what you get when you have children through somebody in a very late stage of your life. Instead of having kids when I was 20, and when I'm 50 years old, they'll be 30. Okay, that's fine and dandy. But now he'll be 30 years old and I'll be 90 if I even reach it, because I'm almost 60. I'm 59 right now. So when Sean is 30, okay, I'll be like 88 or something like that. So I mean, or 87. It's still okay. It's not 90, but it's still 87. I mean, so I mean, that's what I chose. Um, Let me just put the mic this way, because you might not be hearing me that good. Um, so I mean, the 2000, the 2000, the year 2000 was very interesting because we just did a lot of like shopping. Me and Belsie together, shopping for her family. You know, going to church. Um, a large portion of that year, we weren't engaged, if we were engaged at all. I used to do washing with her. We used to wash her clothes together, and they were big monstrosities that she had to wash. I remember those days. But I just have a heart like that wants to help people. Even though I didn't have to do that. And but anyway, one thing led to another, and we got engaged though. And this is the time that either in 2001, and I eventually moved out of my mother's house because, and I went to my pastor's house to live there for a while, and then I picked up some furniture and stuff like that, and stayed there for a while, for maybe 6 months or something. I don't know. I can't remember. And so I used to live with my pastor, you know. And I forgot his name. Maybe it's Alfredo, something like that. My brother's name, my older brother's name, my half brother. But anyway, I can't remember. I can't remember. I think Napoleon. Napoleon was the name of the man that I met that actually convinced me to go to the church. A very charming guy. I think his name was Napoleon, something like that. You know, very nice wife. He had a very nice wife. And he used to be a great singer and a great guitarist. And they're not hymns, but sort of repetitious sort of things, but he used to sing them so well. It's just sort of heart for God. You could tell that he really loved Jesus. Christ, our Lord. And so 2000 was like that. 2000 was me and my mother arguing about Belsie because we didn't see eye to eye. I was in love with her. I was blindly in love with her. That's the problem. And my mother didn't want a person who my mother thought was out for her papers, her immigration papers. I was born and raised a United States citizen, and Belsie wasn't. And my mother thought that Belsie was out just for the papers, just for the papers. You know, I think that Belsie did love me. I think that the Belsie, I was in love with Belsie more than she was in love with me. Obviously, she did love me, and but it wasn't a warm love like we used to hold hands sometimes outside. Okay, fine, but you know, um, it wasn't really an affectionate love like you dream of. You know what I mean? It wasn't like that though. That's how I act. I act like that. I act like if I'm in love with the girl, I act like that. I want to give that to the girl that I'm in love with. I like to hold her hand. I like to kiss her face. I like to to hug her. I like to tell her how she's special. I like to treat people like that in a very, very, very warm and special way. I don't see that in the Philippines. I see that, people are married to each other and they're just married. They don't show affection. They don't share a kiss. I mean, it's just people that I'm thinking about right now that I'm not going to mention. You never see couples here in Don Pedro holding hands, walking and holding hands, and sharing a kiss. It's just like all that stuff happened when they were young, and when they're a little bit older, all that stuff dies. Why? Why? Why should that die out? I mean, I don't understand why. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, I don't understand why something like that has to die out. Like, oh, well, we don't hold hands anymore. We don't say I love you anymore. We don't say thank you to each other anymore. I mean, every time that Risa used to make me a meal, I used to thank her. When she used to do this and this and that, I used to thank her. And you know what I mean? So some people are not like that, but I'm like that. I just was raised differently. I come from a different country that we show more affection outwardly. Walking when you're walking together, and when you're sitting in a train or in a bus, you're just it's not like you're gonna be all over the person, in front of everybody. But I'm just saying that you just show affection. We're from a country. I'm from a country that you're not ashamed to show affection outwardly. Like, this is my love and I love her, and I'm gonna show it, as much as I can outside. So this is it. And I really was deeply in love with her. She was my first love. I mean, Rita wasn't my first love, just like I wasn't Rita's first love, right? She had Oscar or whoever the hell else she had. But I had Belzy, and she was my first deep love that I ever had in my life, ever. I never had a love like that in my life. Yeah, I was interested in some girls here and there in school, but that's not the same thing, you know? Belzy and I were on the verge of getting married, and we were engaged to be married, and we broke up 2 years before. 2 years, 2 days before the marriage, though. 2 days. But so let me just put it like this, so I can talk about her another time, because then I have to get into Risa's stuff. Um, Eventually, you know, we broke up and we didn't get married. How about that? Okay, it's a very interesting story, though. You could write books about my I'm not gonna say affairs, but like that. You know what I mean? But let's get to Riza, though, because I could spend all day talking about Belsi, and me renting and a house, uh, so we could live in there and and get married and stay in there, and this and this and this and this is quite an adventure. It was really, and it's more that I'm not telling you. So the story of Belsi is amazing, in and of itself, without Riza in the picture. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? With Riza, it adds a little bit more gravy to everything, a little bit more icing on the cake, But it's just that's just it. So let's jump from 1999 or 2000, 2001, all the way to 2017. Obviously, in 2017, I wasn't married. I never got married in the United States, and I never had children to anybody. You understand what I'm saying? I was close, but no cigar. Okay, you understand? All right. So let's skip all the way to 2017, but then we have to go to 2012 first, because then 2017 wouldn't have happened, or 2018 wouldn't have happened, and maybe even 2017 if it wasn't for 2012. What happened in 2012? Well, on May either the 16th or the 17th, we don't know, because she was living alone. My mother died. That was a traumatic experience for me, because I lost my father when I was 17 in 1983. But to lose a mother, that's a different thing, okay? Especially when you're closer to your mother than you are to your father. And I was closer to my father than I was to my mother when I was younger, though. And then it switched, and so she died, and so I was living for 6 long years alone. Okay, not getting that telephone call in the morning from my mother, not being able to visit her and hug her while crying, because of my pain and stuff like that. Something that she allowed me to do, to just hug her and cry without complaining, without saying, "Oh, don't cry." I hate when people say "don't cry." I hate that though. It's so unnecessary, especially when somebody passes away. Let me just touch this, because if I don't touch it, you understand what I'm saying? Oops. Well, I mean, the problem is that I hope that the picture was okay, because I don't know if it was upside down, so I'm sorry about that. If it was, I can't do nothing about it. So I wouldn't have known Riza if it wasn't for my mother dying, and I better go to sleep because I want that chicken from Mercy later on. You understand what I'm saying? But I better go to sleep soon. It's probably around 3 o'clock. So jumping over to the 2000s, 2017. 2017, I can't remember anything that happened that year. Nothing. You asked me, and you put a gun to my head. I don't know, except for one thing. Okay, uh, I befriended Riza on Facebook. After that, that's it. Now, do I remember some things? No. I used to be, I used to be debating Jehovah's Witnesses. I had a Christian ministry. People used to call me, all the time to talk to me from my YouTube channel, Angelo KYKY Quinones, which has 3,000, over 3,000 subscriptions. I'm not talking about this one. I'm talking about the first channel that I ever had. I'm looking sideways and I'm right in front of a car. That's my channel. And and so um and so I sent a friend request and she accepted it. But that was it. There was nothing special about it. That was 2017, and that was it. But then came 2018, February 2018, and I saw her number there. And the reason I was interested in her because she, along with someone else, Lynn or whatever, she used to be very responsive to my Bible studies. See, Riza was very responsive to my Bible studies. I used to send Bible studies out to a lot of people. And I do have to admit, I made a lot of, I sent a lot of requests out to girls, hoping to land the right fish. And I eventually landed a fish, which she was in the right one, Riza. I caught the fish, but it was a wrong one. I should have put the fish back in the ocean. You know what I'm saying? But then the children wouldn't have been born. See, that's the thing. That's the thing, that we cannot control destiny. You see, I was destined for Sean and Anna to be born of that particular woman, Riza. I have no idea why. I have no, because she's such an incomplete mother. Is she a bad mother? No, but is she a great mother? No. Also, she's not. She's not. She's not terrible. I'm not gonna say bad, because sometimes she's bad. Is she horrible? That's very strong. No. Is she great? No. Oh, you can't say she's horrible. You can't say that she's great, and she can't say that she's in the middle. But that's another thing. Mhm. So I befriended her in 2017 and 2018 in February. I saw her number there on her Facebook, 63 something, blah 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 blah. And then I had to dial 011. Okay, from the United States of America. They used to cost me an arm and a leg. And so I don't know, February something, I don't know. Maybe on Valentine's Day. Who knows? Maybe on Valentine's Day. You know? I don't know. I can't remember. I can't remember. Maybe I could look back and see if there was some kind of text or something like that. You understand what I'm saying? But be that as it may, I sent her a text saying, "Can I call you?" She said yes and stuff like that. And then the first thing that I hear her say when I talk to Riza is, "I want to go to work." It wasn't, "Oh, Angelo, I'm so glad that you called me because I'm ready to start a wonderful new relationship with somebody, and the first one failed with the kids, father, and so glad that you're in my life because I really want to give myself to a new love, and I want to fall in love again, and all the right things." She didn't say all the right things. No, she wanted to go to work, you know. But anyway, I was so blind that I couldn't see. Again, I mean, I was blind with Belsie. I was blind with April. April's another story altogether. I don't want to get into that. And I was blind with Riza, with three people, all of them from strange countries, two of them from the Philippines. Hmm? That was the problem, you know, that I could never find anybody in my home country. It would have been easier. I would have been there in the greatest country in the world. I wouldn't have been here. But again, what's the thing? The children needed to be born here and in a particular time, in particular years, to a particular mother. That's just the way it is. I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know why Anna wasn't born. Anna wouldn't have had this condition if she was born to another family. You understand what I mean? Well, let me leave you guys hanging. Okay, so I'm gonna be going to sleep. But this, yeah, God gave me two chapters to live out in my life. A prefix in the womb, and chapter one and chapter two outside of the womb. You know what I'm saying? And I'm living in during chapter two now. Suffice it to say, okay, is that let me see over here. Wait for a second, guys, because I want to touch this because I don't want it to go dim. Because if I don't touch it, it's gonna go dim and it's gonna stop recording. And sometimes I have my eyes closed and I don't know when it stopped and went black because my eyes are closed, and I keep on talking and I'm not recording anything. You see, you know what I'm saying? Um, Before I do another recording, I just want to say that I had two choices. Again, I had two choices. I had two choices between. Remember, two choices between Belsi and Georgina. Well, I had two choices between Riza and the girl from Indonesia. The both of them showed very much interest in my Bible studies, and they both used to reach out and be very thankful, almost at the same time. So I said, before I make my commitment to Riza, let me try one more last attempt to contact Lynn, I believe her name was, from Indonesia. Okay. And I talked to her on the phone, Lynn, and I said, "You have any kids?" She had kids, so that was a no-no for me at the time. At the time, that was a no-no. Kids. I mean, I didn't want to be stepfather of no kids, man, because it always brings problems. They just don't respect you because you're not their dad, and that's the problem. And then she said she was from Indonesia, and I said, I don't know nothing about Indonesia, man. I'm not gonna go to a country that I don't really know nothing about, even though she's showing interest, but I can't. I can't go to Indonesia. I don't know the country. I'd rather go to the Philippines because I'm already speaking to people, that has to do with the Philippines and like that. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, let me get going. This is Angelo Quinones giving glory, and I'll do a part two. This is Angelo Quinones giving glory to God the Father, to the Lord Jesus Christ, and the Holy Spirit. God is not the God of the dead, but of the living. Thank you.